On behalf of the Advertising Club of Bangalore and from all of us, I warmly welcome Mr. Jason Dacuna, who has taken time off to be with us today. May I request Sadhna to formally welcome Mr. Dacuna. In his 5 years there, he handled a variety of jobs and subjects, from sports to oil seeds, and even worked as a correspondent. In 1954, he switched to a career in advertising when he joined the copy department at JWT. A year later, in 1955, he joined Lintas. In the 15 years that followed, he rose from copywriter to copy chief to creative director. He finally became chief executive in 1969. During this period, he also did a 2-year stint with Hindustan Lever. In the 10 years that Mr. Dacuna was with Lintas, from 1970 to 1980, he built Lintas to second rank in billings in the country. Lintas stopped being a loss-making agency and became a highly profitable one, no longer dependent on one single large client. While he was with Lintas, he also worked in an honorary capacity on projects with the Government of India. From 68 to 70, he worked as honorary divisional manager in ITDC for print and publicity. Subsequently, he was advisor to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for 18 months before the emergency. It was during this period that he became interested in the use of advertising on the wider canvas of social causes. From 1980 to 1989, Jason Dacuna worked with UNICEF. This happened after the year he worked in the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil on a project which was to develop a deeper knowledge of the effect of communication on behavioral change. The project led to the Ministry of Health and UNICEF inviting him to join them on assignments in Latin America and New York over a period of 10 years. He returned to India and worked 2 years out of UNICEF New Delhi in his national technology missions. After retirement in 1989, Mr. Dacuna continues to handle assignments on an ad hoc basis for UNICEF in Brazil, Rome, and Uganda. Recently, he worked on a communication program on AIDS in Uganda. He has been named to receive the ISA Gold Medal this year. Mr. Dacuna will be speaking to us today on social communication. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Mr. Jason Dacuna.
Mr. Chairman, Sir, Bunty Peerboy, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. When I listen to biodata, I wonder when the milestones will become gravestones. They seem to weave their own fiction, some of which one believes, the rest of which one dismisses. Thank you nonetheless for that very generous introduction. It's been a very great joy to be here in Bangalore, not just because it happens to be my wife's hometown, but to be here because one has met so many people from one's past, the past that one is prepared to admit in public. Thank you for coming here, because I'm sure the joy is mine and the professional benefit is not yours. It is a privilege and an honor to be here, because by the act of being present here, one joins that select group, that elect band, that elite, that has on 12 previous occasions shared its wisdom with you. I begin to wonder what I could possibly say that would be of the slightest relevance or interest to you. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, nobody hated waffle more than I asked Peerboy. Nobody got down to the point more swiftly than he. Good examples are there to be followed, and I will honor his memory by following his example. But before coming to the meat of this meeting, a point. You see, I've been away from advertising for something like 15 years. A long time in advertising. With what credibility could I talk about homes open to the satellites and mouths open athirst for a certain brand of instant coffee. What could I say about liberalization and advertising agencies and the morals of single men? It's difficult, and I conveyed my concern to the irresistible Hamid Sattar when he called me conveying Banti Peerboy's invitation to be here today. But then as I was talking to Sattar, a thought occurred to me. It seemed to me that, is this microphone on too loud? I can hear myself resound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now what occurred to me? Yes, the thought occurred to me that if I shared with a group like yourselves in a setting like Bangalore, what I did in those 15 years spent away from advertising, why I did it and how, I may come up with something of relevance and value to advertising and marketing people. And in the end, if one is talking at the 13th IRSP by Memorial Lecture, then what one is saying has to be in the end be relevant to advertising, because that's the field to which IRS gave the lion's share of his time, his energy, and his thought. So what I'm hoping to do today is to show how advertising and marketing people are possessed of a conceptual framework of crucial relevance in what I did during those 15 years, which is development. Now, for the rest of these almost interminable 40 minutes, you will hear that thought expounded in different ways. Ladies and gentlemen, all work and no plagiarism makes a dull speech. So you will forgive me if I borrow an epigram from a friend. Now this friend was addressing the biggies of Coca-Cola in Atlanta, no less. This was a time of crisis in the United States, a red alert in North America. The Coca-Cola flavor was changing. My friend was in McCann Erickson, and the occasion was when McCann Erickson was making its first presentation of creative approaches to the assembled gray men of Coca-Cola. And he opened his presentation saying, "Gentlemen," he said to them, "you don't make Coca-Cola. God does. You merely bottle it." What he meant, of course, was that Coca-Cola is much less that chemical reality, that funny colored liquid in a funny shaped bottle, than it is a perception in millions upon millions of minds. A perception placed there in the end by advertising and marketing. In the 15 years that I've been in development, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, sir, how many times have I not wished for those skills, those concepts, that technology, to be at the service of what I was doing, which was improving nutrition, improving sanitation, preservation of the environment, maternal child health, AIDS prevention and control. How it seemed to me they would have helped if they had been available. Because experience is beginning to show, and data is accumulating, that development in the end is perceptions. Development is no longer GNP per capita, industrialization, high rises, and low slug cars. Much more is it something here, put there, triggered by the right perceptions of reality. Now, this was the thought in the minds of some of us, 5 of us in fact, nearly a quarter of a century ago, when India was preparing to host the 7th Asian Advertising Congress in New Delhi. It seemed to us at the time the perfect occasion to launch the notion of advertising and advertising technologies as being relevant on a much wider canvas, on the canvas, in fact, of human need, of development and progress. The trouble is that it struck us too late. The reason why I'm going through this is really for 3 or 4 reasons. Firstly, because it is relevant to the point I want to make. Secondly, because the materials that you're going to see may well be the only materials that have survived since 1970. Fire. Maybe the only things that are left, these slides, and the condition of those slides will betray their age. The third reason I will place these slides and those thoughts before you is because they may strike some people here of Bangalore and spark in them the activities which we undertook in Bombay nearly 25 years ago and which failed. And the last reason why I want to place before you that initiative entitled Bombay is Dying is because IRs in the end caused it to happen. The idea occurred to us much too late. The program agenda had already closed. But we went to IRs nonetheless. And he, a man always perceptive to a good idea and to pursuing it if it was a good one, fought for it, got the idea a good place on the agenda, set up a committee under K. Kurian, then of Advertising and Sales Promotion, ASP, and now of Radius Bombay, to deal with the presentation. 5 agencies were involved. Each one of them chose a theme relevant to the urban degradation of Bombay in 1970. It was already in a bad way then. It may be past rescue now. And this is why it may be relevant in Bangalore, because Bangalore is still a city that could be salvaged, could be saved, if the population could participate in a movement to save themselves and their city. So each one of these 5 agencies chose a topic. And what I'm hoping to do is to present them here now. Maybe Bala, you can turn down the lights, please. The 5 agencies involved were Frank Simoes Advertising, Lintas, ASP, Interpub, and MCM. The 7th Asian Advertising Congress Committee, this is almost archaeology, presents Bombay is Dying. The campaign was supposed to start with 2 full-page advertisements. The news items on that full page of the Times of India are items that pertain to the urban decay of Bombay. Buildings collapsing, the problems of sewage, the problems of garbage, crime. And in the bottom right-hand corner is a panel saying, help. That then was the theme of the program, Bombay is Dying, help. And in that panel, you were asked to participate, to send in your name and address if you wanted more information, and to inform us what you could do. This is very much the same sort of idea, again a full page, but instead of there being news items, the problems were picturized. The first theme handled by Interpub was on planning, because the planning process of our city fathers and in the municipality was so abysmal that a very great deal was going wrong at the planning stage, never mind when they got to this point, where you get beautiful buildings and high-rises and slums in the foreground. Your city is being strangled, it's a great deal worse now. Bombay's pollution levels are amongst the highest in the world. Bombay is dying, help, and always that coupon asking you to respond. These 3 ads produced by Lintas on Bombay's notorious water problem. Now remember, we're talking about 1970, when the press and film were really the only media. We were appealing to a certain kind of social stratum. The press and a certain kind of cinema was the kind of medium that, the media that would reach them. Each agency was supposed to come up not only with creative work like this, but also with a media plan. 1 out of 7 murders in Bombay starts at a water tap. Bombay is dying. Help. Quarrels start because there is too little water for everybody. 105 families share this single tap, water at midnight, and don't get enough water anyway. Bombay is dying. Help. And last week, the municipality renamed 6 streets. And what you see is people queuing up for water. And who cares about Bombay, says the subhead, does the corporation, do you? The idea was to get people to contact their corporators, to exercise pressure on the corporator to do their jobs better. A poster. This is 3 ads produced by MCM on housing. At the top above the illustration, you have Bombay has one of the highest population densities in the world, 35,000 people per square mile. Danger, Bombay is dying. Help, the coupon. Bombay's pavement sleeper protects his space with a knife because 1/5 of its population lives on the street. In that little square in the middle of the picture, you have a knife. Bombay is dying. Help. Bombay's hutman dweller pays up to 2,000 pagadi to live in squalor. MCM. This is ASP, Bombay's filth in your child, the health team, personalized. Crows